So this is another way to actually look at things. So first up is that you just list down all the numbers. I mean 1, I mean 2, I mean 3. So I mean with every single combination of like 1, what you can actually do is that you have like a 2 and you have a 3. And for any combination of like 2, I mean the remaining one is like 1 and 3. For a 3, all the remaining combination is just the 1 and the 2. And obviously to actually complete this whole entirety item is that you just fill up the remaining items. For this case it's 3, for this case 2, here's a 3, here's a 1, here's a 2, and here's a 1. And from how I actually see of things is that you will notice that this item, maybe say this item and this item is somewhat like similar because fundamentally it involves having like the 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3. It's just on like a different order, and that's one of like the properties for permutation, which is that you don't care about like you disregard like unique values, and what you do is that you just count the max number of like with disregarding the unique values, you still calculate the maximum of like the combination there is in the whole entirety of the thing. So I mean to me that is like the beauty about this whole permutation thing that's going on. And I don't know like if this like whole entirety method is called like iterative or not, because on my previous video I did discuss that whatever we were doing recursive, and the main difference between these two items is that in terms of like the coding wise diff. So the code diff is that this one might be on the more complicated side of things, as for this one it's much more simpler, because for recursive fundamentally what you're actually doing is that you have like one singular code, like simple code there is, but for you to build all these items it may feel that there's much more complex code. That's my theoretical guess as of right now, and I don't even know if this this is the iterative, but I like to actually find out in the future Leetcode problems on how they actually gonna explain to me for the most parts, right? So when we do this whole permutation thing, I mean obviously whatever we are trying to find is like the max combi of things, and this one is like to disregard the unique values. When you talk a lot about that, you are actually very much referring to backtracking, and specifically what you're talking about for this case is under like the permutation category. As for the character at least, and this is for the spells. And I mean, the rulebook is telling me that to actually disregard the unique values. So the moment you think about that, you straight away you can think of like permutation, backtracking, right? And when you look at like the fundamental level of like things, is that it branch out like all the combination. And like it's just a very intuitive branching out of like items, and this is branching out every single possibility. That's the vibe I'm getting from the spell casting of as we do this whole item. And yeah, obviously we also can use these brute force to actually fight against the main character. And I believe that like when I talk about like using this iterative method, we're kind of like brute forcing our way through already. So what we actually do is that write down every single thing, and write down every single thing for 1, write down every single thing for 2 and 3, and the remainings. And in fact, like this way of like calculating or drawing explanation is leaning towards like brute force, and that's how I actually am gonna go with brute force to actually fight against like this whole drawing explanation. So yeah, with that, I really just really want to actually start to actually find out what the hell is iterative, what the hell is recursive, is this really iterative in some sense? And yeah, I'm just very much curious that everything comes to an end.